Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God still, and trust in me. There are many rooms in my Father's house. If they were not, I should not have told you. I am going now to prepare a place for you. And after I've gone and prepared you a place, I shall return to take you with me, so that where I am, you may be too. You know the way to the place where I am going." Thomas said, "Lord, we do not know where you are going, so how can we know the way?" Jesus answered, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I'm very close to Our Lady of Fatima because of some events that happened sometime in 2019 when I was in Ireland. That made me, and I was privileged to visit Fatima, and that experience really changed my life and made me really close to Our Lady. And this is what I wanted to share with you this morning. So sometime in March 2019, a lady called me. That was in March, the middle of March already, around the 15th of March. I'm not really sure, but around that time. A lady called me on the phone and said, "Father, I have paid your tickets to go to Fatima. And I have all the hotels booked and everything." And I thought, I don't know if she knew this, but she knew I'm an African and I need to get a visa. So then I told her I need to get a visa. And she said, "No, I'm going to pay for that as well." The problem was not getting a visa, but when to get a visa. It was impossible to get a visa at that time because it was the middle of March and you had to go online to get a date to go to the embassy, the Portuguese embassy, and it takes at least 10 days after your appointment to get a visa. That was the middle of March already. So I tried to go online to get, the first thing that happened is that that time when she wanted me to visit Fatima was the perfect time because I had a holiday that time, just those days. So I said, that is the perfect time, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get a visa. And we started praying the ROSARY daily to let Our Lady help us to do this. But unfortunately, when I went online, I realized the earliest date to get an appointment was the 4th of April. So that would be impossible to travel to. If I get an interview, if I get an appointment on the 4th, then I need 10 working days to get a visa. And my flight is on the 10th. So how is that going to work out? So I decided to go to the embassy by myself without an appointment to ask a special favor if I could get the time and explain to them what had happened. So unfortunately, I went on a day which was a holiday. I did not know, and the office was closed. So, but the personnel were there, and the consular who gives visa was there. So I went and rang the bell. You know, in Europe, people answer you from inside. So there is a kind of a speaker there outside, a small speaker, and they speak from inside. So I rang, and then they said, "Please, we can't attend to you. Today is holiday. Read the sign on the board, on the door." And then I said, "Sorry, I did not know." So I was about to go back. Then the person said, "Wait." And then it was the consular. He came out. And then he said, "Yeah, how can I help you?" And he's struggling with English, Portuguese. They are not speaking good English. So he's struggling with English. And then I tried to explain to him, "No, you see, I wanted to go to Fatima. And I got this thing. And the earliest date I got was the 4th of April. And then they said to me, what do you want me to do? I cannot change that. Just go and come back on your date. It was very wild to me, and it was cold. It was in winter. So I went frustrated, and I called this lady back, and I said, no, sorry, this thing cannot work out. And I gave up on Fatima. And I didn't know she still kept praying, and she believed that I would go, that Our Lady wanted me in Fatima. She kept saying that Our Lady wanted you in Fatima. And I was supposed to book for another visa going to England. So I decided, and one of the requirements was to get a letter from the nuncio. And fortunately for me, the nuncio was a Nigerian bishop from Nigeria. So I made an appointment with the secretary, who was very good, an Italian lady, sister, was very good on the phone, and said, and booked the appointment. So I went there to get that letter. And when I went, I thought I would just meet the secretary, and the secretary was going to meet the nuncio and everything. So when I went there, the sister welcomed me in, and I sat, was waiting that she would come and take my information and all that. And then the nuncio himself came, and I was very thrilled by that. And then he said, where you are sitting is where the Pope was sitting when he visited Ireland recently. And then he said, for that reason, I'm going to give you a rosary from the Pope. And I got a very good gift of the rosary. And then I told him that I wanted a letter for England and everything. And then we started talking, and he asked me where I came from in Nigeria. And then I talked to him about my trying to go to Fatima, but everything did not work out. I said, just wait. And then he went and wrote 2 letters and said, take this to the Portuguese embassy tomorrow morning and give this to the ambassador, that this is a letter from the nuncio. I know my experience at the embassy, so I did not want to go back there and get the second slap. So I said, should I go or not? Anyway, I picked up courage. The next day I went there, but I did not go to the door of the consul. I went to the door of the ambassador, and I rang there. A lady came out, who seemingly was the secretary of the nuncio. Sorry, the secretary of the ambassador. And then when I stood outside, it was cold. And then she said, no, just come in. And then she opened the letter and she read, are you father? I said, yes. I'm a priest studying here for the moment. And then he said, hey, come, I take you to the consular. Then I said, oh, I will not want to go there. And anyway, she took me to the consular and said, no, we need to get you a date very soon. And then she went to the consular, and the consular was the nicest person now ever that I could ever think of. And he said, Father, welcome. When do you want to travel? When can we make your visa available? Is the 26th or the 27th okay? This was earlier than the dates that I had even for my booking. And behold, he took all my information. And by the 28th, he called me and he said my visa was ready for Fatima. And that is how I went to Fatima. And I tell you, the experience there was an amazing one. Going to the places where Our Lady appeared, and the difficulties that the children went through, and the homes where they came from, and most especially the messages of Our Lady, because at that time Portugal was going through a difficult time. I just want to relate this to what the gospel talks about today, because the message of Our Lady was, in the end, my Immaculate Heart would triumph. In the end, my Immaculate Heart would triumph. And one special thing about Our Lady is that she always leads us to Jesus. She always shows us the way to salvation. That way is the Son. This is what we hear today in the gospel. I am the way, the truth, and the life. But most importantly, as the first statement that we hear today in John's Gospel, chapter 14, do not let your hearts be troubled. Have faith in God and have faith in me. And this is what the people of Fatima were going through at the moment when Our Lady started appearing to the 3 kids. We are going through difficulties. They were going through time of war, of famine, difficulties for people. And Our Lady just consoled them with the same words, that do not let your hearts be troubled, because in the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. And I think this is a great message for us. Recently, we just had our elections. Many people were happy, others were not happy. People were satisfied, others were not satisfied. People are thinking of what is going to happen in the next 6 years, considering the history of what had happened in the past. And I think these words are so important for us that we must trust. Do not let your hearts be troubled, but trust in the Father and trust also in me. Everything happens for a reason, like I said recently. And that is so important that we must submit all our opinions, all our choices, all our desires, all our prayers to God's will. There is nothing more superior than God's will. And there is nothing that can happen that is outside of God's will. Everything happens just in time and according to God's will. Let us continue to ask the intercession of Our Lady of Fatima, the Queen of the Holy Rosary, that she will continue to intercede for us. And just make sure that today would not pass you by without praying the Rosary, because this would be a good gift for Our Lady, roses of flowers, offering up to her, offering up our prayers to her, and asking her intercession not only for us or for our families, but for our country and for the world.